Chapter 1. The Curse. The warrior, known as Kael, had always been a skilled fighter. But after losing his brother in arms, he found himself consumed by a desire for revenge. He had come across a cursed arm, one that had the soul of his fallen brother trapped inside. The arm had a mind of its own and could communicate telepathically with Kael. It was a constant reminder of the pain he had endured and the promise he had made to his brother to avenge his death. Chapter 2. The hunt begins. Kael and his cursed arm set out on a mission to find those responsible for his brother's death. They traveled through forests and mountains, seeking any clues that would lead them to the culprits. Along the way, they encountered many obstacles and enemies, but Kael's determination never wavered. He knew that he had to find justice for his brother. Chapter 3. The Betrayal. As Kael and his cursed arm continued their journey, they stumbled upon a group of soldiers who had been responsible for his brother's death. Kael's heart raced with anger and hatred as he recognized the faces of those who had left his brother to die. He charged towards them, ready to exact his revenge. But just as he was about to strike, he felt a sharp pain in his back. One of the soldiers had betrayed him and stabbed him with a poisoned blade. Chapter 4. The Cursed Arm Takes Over. Kael fell to the ground, writhing in pain as the poison coursed through his veins. His cursed arm began to glow with an eerie light, and suddenly, it took over. The arm moved on its own, attacking the soldiers with a ferocity that Kael had never seen before. The arm seemed to have a mind of its own, and Kael could only watch in horror as it slaughtered the soldiers one by one. Chapter 5. The Final Confrontation. As the last soldier fell to the ground, Kael's cursed arm finally stopped its rampage. Kael was both amazed and horrified by the power the arm had displayed. He realized that the arm had taken control in his moment of weakness and had unleashed its own thirst for vengeance. Feeling weak from the poison, Kael struggled to regain control of his own body. He tried to communicate with his brother's soul trapped inside the cursed arm, but it remained silent. The arm seemed to have a mind of its own, and Kael feared that it had become too powerful to be controlled. With great effort, Kael managed to stand up, using his normal left arm to support himself. He knew he had to press on and confront the mastermind behind his brother's death. He followed the clues he had gathered so far and made his way to a hidden fortress in the mountains. As he approached the fortress, Kael faced numerous traps and obstacles designed to deter intruders. His cursed arm, still under its own control, helped him navigate through the dangers, displaying incredible agility and strength. Kael could only watch in awe as his arm single-handedly defeated the challenges in their path. Finally, Kael reached the inner chambers of the fortress, where he came face to face with the sorcerer responsible for his brother's death. The sorcerer was a formidable opponent, wielding dark magic and commanding a legion of loyal followers. Kael's cursed arm eagerly took the lead, engaging in a fierce battle with the sorcerer's forces. But as the battle raged on, Kael realized that the cursed arm was becoming more and more unpredictable. It seemed to revel in the bloodshed and was losing touch with its original purpose of seeking justice for his brother. Kael knew he had to regain control before it was too late. With all his strength, Kael fought against the cursed arm, trying to suppress its power and regain control of his own body. The battle was fierce, and Kael's determination was unwavering. He refused to let the cursed arm consume him and lose sight of his original mission. As the sorcerer's forces dwindled, Kael finally managed to regain control over his cursed arm. The arm retreated, and Kael stood face to face with the sorcerer. With a final burst of energy, Kael charged forward and struck the sorcerer down, ending the battle once and for all. With the sorcerer defeated, Kael looked around, realizing that the fortress was crumbling around him. He quickly made his way out, narrowly escaping the collapsing structure. He emerged from the mountains, victorious but exhausted. Chapter 6. Finding Closure. Kael knew that his journey was finally coming to an end. He had avenged his brother's death and put an end to the sorcerer's reign of terror. But he also realized that the cursed arm had served its purpose and needed to be dealt with. With a heavy heart, Kael decided to part ways with the cursed arm. He bid farewell to his fallen brother's soul, thanking him for the guidance and assistance throughout their journey. The cursed arm disappeared, leaving Kael with a sense of emptiness but also relief. Kael returned to his homeland, where he was hailed as a hero. He was celebrated for his bravery and skill in defeating the sorcerer and bringing justice to his brother. Kael was grateful for the recognition but knew that his true reward was the closure he had found. In the aftermath of his quest for revenge, Kael found peace within himself. He realized that his brother's death had been avenged, and he could finally let go of the burden of vengeance. He also learned to forgive himself for the mistakes he had made along the way, including losing control of his cursed arm. Kael spent time reflecting on his journey and the lessons he had learned. He also took the time to honor his fallen brother's memory and pay his respects at his grave. As time passed, Kael returned to his former life as a skilled warrior, but he was no longer consumed by the thirst for revenge. He found solace in helping others and protecting those in need. He also formed deep bonds with new comrades who had supported him in his quest, and he cherished their friendship. In the years that followed, Kael continued to be known as a legendary warrior, but he also became known for his wisdom and compassion. He traveled across the lands, offering his skills and knowledge to those who needed it. He used his experiences and lessons learned from his journey to help others navigate their own struggles and find their own paths to redemption and forgiveness. One day, as Kael was traveling through a peaceful village, he encountered a young orphan who had lost his family to bandits. Kael was reminded of his own past and felt a deep empathy for the boy. He decided to take the boy under his wing and trained him in the ways of the warrior, becoming a mentor and a father figure to him. With each passing day, Kael found renewed purpose in passing on his skills and knowledge to the next generation. He found fulfillment in helping others and making a positive impact in the world. He had finally found peace within himself and had moved on from the curse that had consumed him. And so, Kael's story continued, as he traveled the lands, helping those in need and imparting his wisdom to those who sought it. He had learned that revenge was not the answer, and that forgiveness, compassion, and redemption were the true paths to healing and closure. Kael's legacy lived on, as his tale of courage, redemption, and finding peace inspired others to do the same. And though his cursed arm was long gone, its memory remained a reminder of the hardships he had overcome and the person he had become. Thanks for listening. Please like and subscribe for more stories. From your Short Story Central.
Thank you for joining us at Short Story Central, your go-to destination for captivating short fiction. If you're craving more tales that transport you to new worlds, make sure to subscribe to our channel for regular updates on the best short stories from around the globe. Don't miss out on your next literary adventure. Hit that subscribe button now and stay tuned for more exciting stories coming your way only at Short Story Central.